Hello everyone! Today we're going to start working with a new topic that is closely connected to some topics we've been dealing before. Remember that at the beginning of the year we studied the prosodic features, and one of the prosodic features is stress. As we all know, stress is a property that makes some syllables or some sounds stand out or make them more noticeable than others. So in the case of words containing more than one syllable, we can detect that one of the syllables we have in the word will be more outstanding. For example, the case of booklet. If we say booklet, the first syllable in that word is more noticeable or more outstanding than the second syllable. Remember and have in mind that concept, because we will need that concept to understand this topic we're going to study today. In this slide we have here, you will see there are some words like helpful, historical, supermarket, popularity, co-star, policy, cigarette. They are words containing more than one syllable, and as a consequence, there's just one syllable standing out in the word, and the rest of the syllables are weakened. But let's see what complex words are. We have several definitions of complex words. We're going to see just one of them. Here this definition says that complex words are words that have been added an affix or bound morpheme, and this depends on the free morpheme to acquire meaning. In this case, we have the word unfortunately. You can clearly see that there are two segments of these words that are in different colors. Let's see what's the function of the segments. In the first case, we have the prefix. The word fortunate is the root, and the segment li is the suffix. So this would be the complete analysis of a complex word. We have a root, that is the part of a word that originates other words, and prefix is something that comes before the root, and suffix is something that comes after the root. We have several words in English containing these structures or different structures with prefixes and suffixes. Let's see. If we analyze, a complex word is made up of a prefix, a root, or stem. It could be called both stem or root, depending on the author is the name they say, and the suffix. But we can have a complex word containing only prefix and root, or only root and suffix. That depends on the morphology of the word. So, what you have to know is that suffixes and prefixes, so prefixes go before the root and suffixes go after the root, are called affixes. Please pay attention to the spelling. Suffixes are spelled with double F, prefix only one F, and affix double F. Well, here we're going to analyze the prefixes. In this case, I've chosen the word impossible, and I've highlighted the idea of the prefix here. But let's see. When speaking about prefixes, we can analyze the meaning or the stress pattern. Let's see what happens with the meaning in this case. A prefix can change the meaning of the word. So we can say possible, that is something that we can do, but if I add the prefix im, I change the meaning of the word. Prefixes generally convey the opposite meaning of the stem or the root. Here we have an example: tolerant, and with the prefix in, the word becomes completely the opposite. But apart from changing the meaning and providing the opposite idea, they can also convey concepts of time, like for example the case of wife, ex-wife, kind, quantity, size, number of times, and actions takes place. There are several concepts that can be established by prefixes that you can read and analyze in the theory in this class. Well, I said that when we analyze prefixes, we can analyze meaning, but we can also analyze the effect the prefix has on the stress pattern of the word. We know that the root has a stress pattern by its own, but when adding a prefix, something can be affected by this extra syllable we add. Here it says, when there is no prominent syllable between the prefix and the stem, we need to add a second, I will read it again. When there is a non-prominent, that means a weak syllable between the prefix and the stem, we need to add a secondary stress. This makes it easier to keep the rhythm when saying the word. These generally don't change the stress pattern of the root. And here we have an example. Pay attention. The word advantage has the main stress in van. So we have a weak syllable before the main stress. This is a stress, this is a weak syllable. So if we add the prefix, we cannot have one and two syllables without stress to have the main stress in the third syllable. So we add a secondary stress here. This is not so loud and important than the primary stress, but this helps us to keep balance. So we say advantage, but we say disadvantage. This takes a secondary stress. So as to avoid having two weak syllables before the main stress. So this can happen when we add a prefix to the stress pattern of the word.